Picture this. It is late at night on December 31st. The countdown is getting closer. Group chats are buzzing with fireworks videos and resolutions memes, and you are sitting there with that familiar mix of hope and quiet dread in your chest. Part of you is already drafting a whole list in your head. You will finally fix your sleep, your body, your job, your relationships, your screen time, your finances, and your anxiety. You tell yourself that this time you will be serious. This time you will be strict. This time you will keep the promises. And at the very same moment, another part of you is already tired because it remembers all the other Decembers where you wrote a beautiful list and then watched it dissolve sometime in February. By the time the clock hits midnight, you are standing between two fears. The fear of not changing at all and the fear of disappointing yourself again. If this feels uncomfortably accurate, this video is for you. By the end of it, you will have a way to do something radically different this new year. Instead of making 10 promises you secretly know you will not keep, you will learn how to make one honest, lightweight promise to yourself that your nervous system can actually support, and how to turn that promise into a small, living practice instead of another piece of self-attack on your Notes app. In a few minutes, I will walk you through a simple 3-step map for finding that promise. But first, we need to name the pattern that keeps dragging you into the same exhausting cycle every year. Let us call it promise inflation. Promise inflation is what happens when the number and intensity of the commitments you make is completely out of sync with the actual energy, time, and support you have. Each individual promise sounds reasonable. Wake up earlier, eat better, be more productive, be more present, be less anxious, start meditating, stop scrolling, read more, connect more. But you stack them all together on one small human nervous system that is already tired from 12 months of being alive. It is like loading a tiny boat with more and more beautiful luggage until you cannot see the water anymore. On January 1st, it feels exciting. By mid-January, the whole thing sinks and you call yourself weak. Promise inflation is not just about quantity, it is about tone. These promises are usually made in a mood of self-rejection. When you write them down, you are not talking to yourself as a friend you love. You are talking like a frustrated manager writing a performance improvement plan. You look at yourself and think everything about this needs to be upgraded. So the promise is not, I want to care for myself differently. It is, I will finally become someone else. Your brain hears that and it panics because it knows it cannot erase you and build a new person in 30 days. The result is a cycle you know very well. First phase, the high. You are motivated, maybe even slightly intoxicated by the idea of a clean slate. You buy notebooks, apps, gym clothes, planners. Second phase, friction. Real life returns with its chaos and old triggers. Your sleep gets messy, your mood dips, people still annoy you, your job is still your job. The new routines feel heavy and unnatural. Third phase, collapse. You miss a day, then two, and the story in your head becomes here we go again, of course I cannot stick to anything. The missing day is not the real problem, it is how you interpret it. Because promise inflation framed your commitments as proof that you are finally not a failure, when they crack, they become proof that you still are. That is the hidden cost of this pattern. It is not just that your goals fail, it is that your self-trust erodes. Every January that begins with inflated promises and ends with collapse adds another little file to the mental folder called I cannot rely on myself. Over years, that folder becomes heavy and you start avoiding any commitments at all or swinging between extremes. Either I will change everything or I will change nothing. If you recognize yourself in this, I want you to notice something important. This is not evidence that you are lazy or broken. Promise inflation is a coping mechanism. It is your mind's way of trying to outrun shame and fear. If you grew up in environments where only dramatic change counted, or where you were praised when you overperformed and criticized when you were simply human, your brain learned that small, modest commitments are not enough. It thinks that if it sets the bar at a realistic height, you will be judged by others or by yourself. So it overcompensates with huge plans, hoping that this time you will finally earn the right to rest. The irony is that this strategy guarantees more of the shame it is trying to avoid. The way out is not to stop wanting change. It is to change the way you relate to commitments at the deepest level. Instead of using promises as weapons against yourself, you can use them as threads of trust. That is what one honest promise really is. A small, specific thread of trust between your present self and your future self. Let us build a toolkit around that idea. The first tool is something I will call the one promise filter. It is simple and unforgiving in the best way. The filter says, if you were only allowed to keep one promise to yourself this year, what would actually matter? Not what would look most impressive. Not what would get the most likes if you posted it, but what would truly change the quality of your inner life if you honored it most of the time. When you first hear this question, your mind might rebel. It will try to sneak in a whole cluster of goals disguised as one. It might say become the best version of myself or finally get my life together. Those are not promises, they are vague wishes. The one promise filter forces you to zoom in. You can do that by completing this sentence. If by next December I could honestly say I mostly kept this one promise to myself, I would feel proud and relieved. What is the this? Maybe it is I will not abandon my body when it signals that something is too much. Maybe it is I will not stay in situations that clearly erode my self-respect. Maybe it is I will sit with my feelings for 5 minutes before escaping into my phone at night. The key is that your promise speaks directly to a core pattern that has been hurting you, not to an external metric alone. It also has to be behavior-based, not identity-based. I promise to be more confident is not a clear promise because your brain does not know what to do with that at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. I promise to speak up when something crosses my limit at least once a week is something you can act on. An experiment for the next 24 hours. Instead of writing a whole resolutions list, write 3 different versions of that sentence and see which one makes your body feel a little steadier, even if it also scares you. You can even share a simplified version in the comments if you want to externalize it and see that other people are wrestling with the same kinds of promises. The second tool is the body truth test. Promise inflation lives in your head. One honest promise has to pass through your nervous system. The body truth test is a quick way to check whether your commitment is realistic for the organism that will actually have to live it. Here is how it works. You take the promise you have drafted and imagine a specific situation where you would need to keep it. Not an ideal morning with perfect energy, but a real scenario. A Wednesday after a bad night's sleep, a day when work was chaotic, an evening where you feel lonely and tempted to scroll for hours. Now you imagine yourself trying to keep that promise in that state and you pay attention to your body's reaction. Do your shoulders tense up? Does your stomach sink? Does your mind start bargaining and saying, okay, but maybe from February? Those are signs that the promise as written still carries the energy of a threat. Your body hears it as another demand it will fail. A body truth-aligned promise feels different. It might still be scary, but it has some softness. There is a sense of this will be hard, but it is possible if I support myself. If your body truth test keeps failing, you do not need more willpower. You need to scale the promise down until it feels like a stretch, not a self-betrayal. For example, maybe the original promise was, I will wake up at 6 every day and go to the gym. When you run it through the body truth test, everything in you screams no. So you rewrite it as I will move my body in a way that raises my heart rate at least 3 times a week for 10 minutes. And I will protect that time like a real appointment. That might sound small to your achievement brain, but to your nervous system, it is a promise it can start trusting. The third tool is what we can call the micro-contract ritual. A promise without a contract is just a wish, but here the contract is not legalistic. It is relational. It is like sitting down with your future self and saying, here is what I am willing to show up for, and here is what I will do when I inevitably mess it up. The micro-contract has 3 lines. First line, what you are promising in concrete terms. Second line, what support you will give yourself to make keeping that promise easier. Third line, how you will respond when you break it. For example, your contract might look like this in words. Promise, I will check in with myself for 3 minutes every evening before I open any app, simply asking, what am I feeling right now and what do I need? Support, I will set a gentle reminder on my phone and keep a small notebook by my bed so I can jot down 1 sentence if I want to. Repair, when I skip this for a day or a week, I will not call myself a failure. I will simply notice that I drifted and do it the very next evening without making it dramatic. That last line is crucial. Without a repair clause, your promise lives on a cliff edge. 1 slip and it dies. With a repair clause, your promise lives on a path. You can step off and step back on. This trains your brain in something far more valuable than perfection: resilience. A small experiment you can try this week is to actually write your micro-contract somewhere you can see it, even if it is just in the Notes app. 3 lines: promise, support, repair. If you feel like it, you can share in the comments not the full promise, but your repair line. It might sound like when I miss a day, I will simply resume instead of restarting the year in my head. Reading other people's repair lines alone can reduce the shame that keeps you stuck. The 4th tool is the future memory snapshot. Promise inflation imagines next December as a pass or fail moment. Either you arrive as the perfect new version of yourself, or you arrive as proof that nothing has changed. The future memory snapshot invites you into a different picture. It asks, if you mostly kept your one honest promise, what would an ordinary Tuesday in October actually feel like from the inside? Not the highlight reel, but a random day. This exercise is important because your brain cannot stay motivated with abstract goals. It needs a felt sense of a different daily reality. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine waking up on that future Tuesday. How does your first hour look different because of this promise? Maybe you check in with yourself before checking your notifications. Maybe you say no to something that once would have swallowed your day. Maybe you do not spiral as long after a small mistake. Picture 1 or 2 specific micro moments. The way you talk to yourself in the mirror, the way you breathe as you sit down to work, the way you answer a message that crosses a boundary. Those images are future memories. They make your promise tangible. They also give you a measuring stick that is more honest than perfection. On the days when you feel like nothing is changing, you can ask, did I have even 5 minutes today that felt more like that future Tuesday than my old default? If yes, your promise is alive. If not, you have data, not a verdict. You can adjust the support or the size of the promise instead of abandoning it. Underneath all these tools is a quiet but radical shift in philosophy. You stop using resolutions as a way to punish your past self and start using one promise as a way to care for your future self. That changes the emotional temperature of the whole New Year ritual. Instead of sitting down on December 31st with a red pen, circling everything that is wrong with you, you are sitting down with a pen and asking, what is one way I refuse to abandon myself this year? That question touches something much deeper than productivity. It touches your relationship with yourself as a whole. When you keep one honest promise, even imperfectly, you send a new message to your nervous system. I may not control everything, but I am someone who shows up for me. Over time, that message is what makes bolder changes possible, not the other way around. You might still feel a pull toward writing a long list. You will still hear people around you comparing goals and talking about big transformations. That is okay. The point is not to become superior to resolutions or to mock ambition. The point is to choose a form of commitment that actually works with your brain instead of against it. Every time you choose to protect your one promise instead of stacking on 5 more, you are making a countercultural move. You are choosing depth over performance. If you are tempted to dismiss this as too small, ask yourself honestly, did the big, inflated approach ever truly work for you long term? Or did it just give you a few weeks of intensity followed by months of quiet shame? Your one honest promise is not a consolation prize. It is a doorway to a more sustainable way of being with yourself. As you listen to this, you might already have a sentence forming in the back of your mind. Maybe it scares you in a different way than your usual goals do, because it goes straight to the heart of how you treat yourself. If that is happening, notice it. You do not have to finalize it right now. You can carry it with you for a day or two, run it through the body truth test, and see how it feels. If you want to take a simple step right after this video, here is a small experiment. Tonight, instead of writing a whole resolution list, open a blank note and write 3 things. First, one sentence beginning with this year. I am done with promising myself things I cannot realistically keep just to feel like I am changing. Second, a draft of your one honest promise, even if it is messy. Third, your repair line. The sentence that describes how you will come back to this promise when you inevitably drift. That note can be your quiet New Year ritual, even if no one else sees it. And if you want to anchor it even more, you can share either your repair line or your inner reaction to this idea in the comments. Sometimes seeing other people's honesty makes it easier to be honest with yourself. As we close, remember the arc we have walked through together. You started by recognizing promise inflation, the cycle of dramatic New Year commitments that collapse under their own weight and erode your trust. We named how that pattern is not a sign of weakness, but a learned coping mechanism trying and failing to protect you from shame. Then we built a different approach, the one promise filter to uncover what actually matters, the body truth test to align your commitment with your real capacity, the micro-contract ritual to turn it into a living agreement instead of a fantasy, and the future memory snapshot to make the benefits tangible on ordinary days. None of this requires a perfect personality or an ideal life situation. It requires only a willingness to treat your own trust as something worth rebuilding gently. Noticing the pattern alone is already a step. Each small action you take to honor one honest promise is another. If this video helped you feel even a little more human and a little less pressured by the New Year performance, let that be your first kept promise. The promise to treat yourself with more clarity and less cruelty. And if you want to keep building a real toolkit for better thinking, clearer communication, and deeper self-understanding, that is exactly what we are doing here on Mind Unlocked. Like this video if it helped you soften the way you approach the new year. Share it with someone who is tired of breaking resolutions and blaming themselves. And subscribe so you can keep adding tools to your mental toolkit for better thinking and carry them with you into every new season. Not as weapons to punish yourself with, but as support for the person you are steadily becoming.